Here at Behind the Mask, we acknowledge that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are the original storytellers and custodians of the land on which we live and meet today. Behind the Mask is a podcast about sharing authentic stories. And in continuing that legacy of storytelling, we acknowledge that we're honouring and celebrating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' traditions, customs and stories. And we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
I've been told death threats.
Wow.
That I'm a charlatan, that I'm taking people's money, I should be ashamed of myself.
I think whatever gateway gets you in, I love it.
Yeah.
Take the gateway in.
Me too.
And there's no doubt about it, when you're ready, we're here for you. And this
To help you awaken to yourself.
Yeah.
We live in a culture where we can see a lot of things on social media and all sorts of things like that. But if you got everything you ever truly wanted materialistically, would that actually make you happy?
I got a phone call from the guy who ran the band. All he said was, Heidi, hi, it's Peter. I'm ringing to tell you that we've decided to sack you from the band because we've found someone who can actually sing. I immediately just went to myself, don't sing again. You're bad at it. Don't do it. I started suppressing basically who I was from that moment.
I'm Josh Pitterman and welcome to Season 3 of the Behind the Mask podcast. This is set to be our most spicy, controversial and thought-provoking season yet. We'll be taking a dive into the esoteric, the taboo and some of the most pressing issues that profoundly affect us all. We'll hear from specialists in the areas of sex, war, business, psychedelics, homelessness, mental health and more. And as always, they'll open up with their heart stories as well as the tools and wisdoms they've used to find healing, inspiration, meaning and purpose in life. Get ready to be inspired once again by the depths of the human experience. It's time to go behind the mask. Between singing, writing, podcasting, presenting, coaching, gym, Pilates, yoga, breathwork, meditation, ice bath, saunas, staying well can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, Wanderlust Mushroom Multis over here is a craft blend of 7 mushrooms, including organic reishi, turkey tail, and shiitake mushroom, rooted in traditional Chinese medicine. Reishi supports a healthy immune system and may help relieve coughs, while its antioxidant properties work to reduce free radicals. This hero mushroom is also used traditionally to help support vitality and replenish qi. With 1 capsule a day, it's a simple way to add functional mushrooms into your wellness routine. Clean and potent with minimal fillers, you can find Wanderlust Mushroom Multi at your local Chemist Warehouse or order it online now. Today, I'm joined in the Roland Media Studio by 2 of my favourite humans in the world, and they have both been integral to my healing journey over the years. As practitioners, they have been integral to many, many other healing journeys for many, many people. Their wisdom is vast. It's ancient wisdom that we need so much of in these modern times. So without further ado, welcome founder of Spinal Energetics, Dr. Sarah Jane Perri. Woo! The crowd goes mild. If you don't know what Spinal Energetics is, honestly, be prepared to have your mind absolutely blown. And Dr. SJ is joined by yoga teacher and the most beautiful kirtanist that ever kirtaned. The wonderful Heidi Trigger. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you. What a beautiful intro.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Once again, if you
Joshy.
don't know what kirtan is, you're in for a very delicious musical treat. Today, we are going behind the mask of somatic and sound healing. So let's rip that mask off, dive straight in. Can we start by actually getting a framework for people who have no idea what is somatic and sound healing? Maybe take one each.
You go first, Hyde.
Well, I think with sound, so if you think of sound, that is vibration. So everything in the world is vibratory, and each sound has its own particular vibration. So The way I see healing in sound is that you can say a specific word or make a sound with your voice or hear a sound, and that will vibrate at a particular frequency within you. And then that particular frequency is connecting to a particular chakra within you, basically. So if you think about sound and vibration as being energy, we can use the sound to actually create a healing frequency within.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love where this is going already. I remember actually one of my sort of early singing lessons, a teacher said to me, "You're not singing higher, you're singing faster." And I went, "Oh, because the frequency is greater the higher you go." So I actually think faster, not higher. That really didn't play into any chakras, but it did make me sing higher better. So thank you, old mate.
It might have played into the throat chakra.
It might
You don't
have
know,
a bit of blue energy. SJ, can you tell us what somatic healing is? So I know you're playing in that realm a lot.
Yeah, I am. And to what a lot of people don't realise is Heidi's actually a guest on all my spinal energetic trainings in Melbourne. She actually opens up our courses with Kirtan. So for me, it's been a huge thing in my journey too, because I just love the energy you feel by the words, and it's just a good opener and introduction to somatics as well. So for me, I call spinal energetics a somatic modality, and the reason we call it that is that we're working with the mind and body connection. So we don't look at it as a separate entity. We look at it that anything that happens in the mind affects the body. Anything emotional, therefore, can be stored in the body. A lot of people are reading, Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score and all that kind of thing.
Talk about old mate Bessel.
Yeah, because
it's a great book.
It's a great book, and it basically affirms what we believe in our philosophy, which is that your body's like a timeline of everything you've gone through and also what your, ancestors and everyone have gone through as well. And we work with the field to access those things that are maybe, protecting you from living your fullness, your full self. Almost like we're going to go off what this podcast is, almost like creating masks for the person, and then we're giving the person the opportunity to take off those masks that no longer serve them. Yeah.
So you mentioned the word or the phrase, the field, and it felt like as you said it, there were some inverted commas with which it lived in, some funny ears. When you talk about the field, are you talking about the unified field? Are you talking about quantum physics? Is that what is that what the field is?
We're touching on that. There's a few different aspects when I say the field. For us,
just an energetic field.
For us in spinal energetics, we believe we're working with the innate intelligence of the individual as well as yourself. We believe that there's almost a mirroring going on between the practitioner and the client, and therefore there's a co-facilitation between the field that can only be, it can't be replicated. If we were all to sit here again tomorrow in the same clothes at the same time and say the same things, it's still not in essence the same. And that also occurs in spinal energetics. And it's why every experience is different. And that's why I love it. But for what I work with, some people are under, the assumption that I believe that I'm transmissioning, is that the word? Yeah.
Transmuting?
Transmuting.
The transmission of?
There we go.
The transmission
Thank you,
of?
Heidi.
Yeah.
That I'm taking something from the higher and I'm removing something bad from someone and through their field. And that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're connecting to the energetic field of the person, which we believe, for example, physical ailments occur in the field first and then show up in the body. So we believe we're connecting directly to the innate intelligence through the field, and it's a co-facilitation between the innate wisdom, the same thing that beats your heart, the same thing that tells you you're thirsty, and the same thing that created the ailment or the symptomatology in the first place. We're working with that to give safety, trust, and then they no longer need that protective strategy, and then they can come into a sense of balance energetically as well as physically, emotionally, mentally.
Okay, so there's so much in there. In Western society, our healing modalities are sort of such that we're conditioned into believing that we arrive somewhere and the person who is administering the healing does the work and they fix it for us. What you're saying is sort of paradoxical to that, is that there is a partnership, there's an exchange, an engagement, a marriage between two people in this space where there's a two-way street exchange happening.
No one can heal you.
Yeah.
You have to be your own healer. And Heidi would experience it, I'm sure, even in yoga. People can really I guess, grow accustomed and grow some love towards their yoga teacher or facilitator, for example, because they don't realize it's the yoga that's actually so powerful as well. Humans need to place it on other humans and put them on a pedestal. It does something where they can then stay in that mindset where I need to be fixed and that person's fixing me.
Yeah, and it also sort of speaks to not owning or being responsible for your own healing journey that, I'm not healed, the physio didn't do their job or the osteo didn't, they're no good, they're no good, the myo's no good, this person's no good. It's actually like your own innate ability to unfold into the healing of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. We're going to come back to the session I got to do with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unforgettable. That's what you are.
Now you're going to get some DMs.
Yeah, we're talking before we went on and air about getting DMs. We talk about a lot of stuff before we go in there. We heat up the space with all sorts of things. We've got to get those outtakes into this.
Please don't.
Heidi, I love Kirtan so much, and I found it as a singer, it opened me up to other spaces that my sound can come from. I was a very technical singer, classically trained, and that can be very cerebral, even though something is happening within the entire body. What Kirtan enabled me to do is sort of sing from soul, sing from spirit. So can you talk to me a bit about what Kirtan really is to you? Why you love it?
I love it so much. I mean, it's so great that you say that too, Josh, because I think like the thing that I love the most about Kirtan is that it's a yoga practice and there's it's like, so for instance, if you practice asana, if you come and practice on the mat and you come into the studio or whatever and the teacher leads you and it doesn't matter and the teacher will always say, if you ever need child's pose, go to child's pose. It's the same. So if you're practicing Kirtan and you think you've got the worst singing voice, maybe someone told you can't sing, or the other side of the scale, maybe you're an opera singer and you're so technical that everything needs to be exactly the same or in a box. You drop all of that and leave it all behind and you just experience the vibration of the sound. So the thing with Kirtan and actually the difference between Kirtan and music or modern music, any kind of like entertainment music, is that Kirtan is vibrational. So all of the sounds, all of the Sanskrit words, every particular letter, there are 50 letters in the Sanskrit alphabet. Each letter corresponds to a particular lotus petal in a chakra from the base chakra to the third eye, right? So there are 50 letters and 50 petals of the chakras from here to here, right? So when you say any sound in Sanskrit, you're then using those sounds within that frequency to correspond to a particular energy within you, going back to sound healing again. So then there's another layer on top. So instead of singing, I don't know, a pop song, Whitney Houston, I don't know, I'm showing my age, Bon Jovi, whatever.
Everyone's there like, who's Bon Jovi?
Who's Whitney Houston?
Romeo was bleeding.
That's
that was the first concert I ever went to, actually, Bon Jovi, with choir boys as the support.
Run
to paradise. Yeah, that was the song.
Jeez, it's a bloody karaoke session here for Kirtan. Calm down.
More inbox slides, more inbox slides.
I love that you're showing your age. Inbox.
Letter.
You've got
piece
mail.
of paper and pen.
Carrier pigeon.
So you're in Kirtan. So you use Sanskrit and use mantra.
Yes. So Sanskrit is a vibrational language as opposed to English. So English is like it'll describe a plant or a table or a microphone, and it just means what it is. But in Sanskrit, it vibrates at the essence of whatever we're saying. So it just layers. So for instance, the Sanskrit word prema means love. So if you say aham prema, it means I am love. Okay, so you could say I am love, and that is also so beautiful, like as an affirmation, so beautiful. But aham prema is vibrating at the very essence of I am loveness.
Mm-hmm.
So you're experiencing the vibration, the frequency of that I am loveness
Mm-hmm.
inside of the sound.
So Ram Dass has a beautiful album with East Forest that
stunning.
he did before he passed. And there's one track that a lot of people would have listened to if you're into him called I Am Loving Awareness, which is really aham prema.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about Sanskrit is exactly what you're saying, is although you can treat it as a word if you wish, and I teach the one giant mind method of meditation, and we use a generic word, mantra, but I ensure that people don't see it as a word. I'm always asking people to experience it as a sound. Well, don't get on Google and go, what does, and it's just a hum.
Yeah.
So for all those people, it just means I am.
Yeah.
It just means, but it's the sound and what the frequency of that sound does in terms of your experience and in terms of transcending the thinking mind.
Yeah.
Well, I've cried at some of your kirtans and I've got no idea even what some of the words are. So,
I mean, it's so common.
Yeah, like you don't have to know Sanskrit to get it impacted by it. It's so beautiful because you feel it. It touches everything of you. And I think that's why I think there's such a connection with kirtan and even spinal, because the reason we start with Heidi is because we want people to feel in touch with that essence.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what we're wanting everyone to come home to, wanting them to come home to their true self. And how can you be your true self if you don't know what that even feels like anymore? And there's nothing that's like, I love music, as Heidi knows. I always get really into the kirtan, don't I, Heidi?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I just love it. And and I think it's not everyone's thing, because maybe sometimes people think they have to be able to sing. And it's the same thing with my sessions. For some reason, people think that they have to perform. They have to do a certain thing on the table. And so what you realize is that both of these modalities, so to speak, is nothing to do with performance. It's to just be the exact opposite. Who are you without your performance? And I think that's where the real beauty lies.
Yeah, it's a stripping away.
Yeah.
And just to pull on that thread, Heidi, I feel like some of the struggles with kirtan or with mantra, I remember taking my dad through the One Giant Mind method, and he was really resistant to the mantra because he's an academic, he's super conceptual, super cerebral, and to experience beyond the concepts of the thinking mind is actually quite vulnerable. I'm sure he's more than happy to experience in a theatrical production or reading a book. He's not opposed to having feelings and tears and whatever, but we assign words in the English language so much with the conceptual, so much with the thinking mind, that to transcend that and to see a word or to say a word and to only experience it through frequency or through feeling or through embodiment is so foreign to Westerners.
Oh, wow, I know. And even coming back to what Sarah said before about the field, and it's like, there's that thing of, and again, back to modern medicine, it's like if you can't see it, it mustn't exist. Like if you can't look in and see it in an X-ray, then it mustn't be there. And like, where's the science behind it? Like where's my piece of paper that shows the heart chakra? I want to see, what the mantra aham is doing. Why can't I see it? But you can't. You actually can't. It's like electricity. It's there.
Like Wi-Fi.
And it works. Yeah, it's like Wi-Fi. It works, but you can't see it, but you can feel it. When you got heartbreak, you can feel anahata. You can absolutely feel your heart chakra. Or if you have that really strong gut sense of yes or no, that feeling, and that's manipura. And when you feel like you've swallowed a grapefruit, that's vishuddha. There's something blocked in your throat and you need to say something really important to someone and needs to come out, right? You can't take an X-ray of that, but it's absolutely there.
It's a belief system thing. Like a lot of people, when they watch my stuff, it challenges their belief systems because it can't possibly be real, because how are we impacting the physicality or the emotional, because people still see it as separation anyway, but from not actually physically touching. So people think to make an impact on the physicality, they need to touch the physicality. That's what we've been taught.
Yeah.
And the people who are more opposed to what I do are people who are in line with that belief system. And so you have to really challenge your perspectives on what is possible and what's real if we're accessing from above the body. But just like Heidi said, there's so many things in life that we just accept that aren't necessarily tangible through science, aren't necessarily tangible through observation. So this is one of those things, and that's kind of the stigma attached to somatics and spinal energetics in particular, is this idea that there's a belief system of, is energy real? I don't believe in that.
It's conditioning.
Conditioning.
Yeah, but we accept Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We absolutely accept it's traveling. We can't see any of it, and we go, yeah, and then we get shitty when it's not cooking. So, hey, on spinal energetics. So, if people don't know, there is a lot of non-touch therapy that creates a physical response within. Do you describe it as the patient? Client.
Yeah.
I had it.
You did.
Oh, God. I knew I was going to have it because I am very prone and open to somatic responses. I mean, I've been in breathwork classes where I'm absolutely positive that my body's no longer on the ground. I'm shaking and levitating and doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, it is, but the experience is wild. It's like I've left my body.
Out of body.
Yeah.
It's totally out of body. And there is physical, people go, he's having an exorcism or something like that. But it's not for me. I'm so comfortable in that I go, something is releasing. Let it go, rather than restrict it or contain it. It's like it's a surrendering to it.
What do you think of your session, Josh?
Oh, I loved it. And I implore people to, if they haven't seen it, jump on socials, look up Spinal Energetics and see what is going on. And you'll literally have your mind blown. But when someone is having that experience, are you playing with that? Are you going, I reckon I can get them into a little back bend that they've never experienced? How much are you sort of going?
That would be cool, but no.
You're not going, I think this person could go here or go here, and this is going to open them up more. I feel a surrender. I feel an acceptance.
Yes.
Let's take them here. I didn't know whether they were going to be able to do that or whether this was going to release when I met them at the door, but now I'm seeing them open up. How far can we open this person up to themselves?
It's like we're dancing together. So there
but
has to be...
you haven't prepared the choreography.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, really good point. So that's why every session is completely different, even with the same people, because it's a different dance, because you're a different layer and a different person to what you were last time I saw you. Yeah. We're constantly evolving, changing, shifting.
No man goes the same river twice.
No.
Different man, different
literally.
river.
So that's why this modality is not necessarily that simple to learn either. It's an art form because, 1 + 1 = 2 isn't as simple in the body. And when you're working within the field and the soul and the self, it's not that simple. You have to be able to adapt and feel. So I don't consciously go, I'm going to do this, but what I do is I listen to the communication of your body, and I might feel a little opening, say, in the heart space, that maybe there's a bit of resistance due to comfort level within you. So if I can get in there and just give more safety and trust through the field, then you will open up. So that's what I mean by co-facilitation. I'm not making you do anything, but I am, I guess, finding possibly where the resonance, where the openness is, and giving you safety and trust in that.
An energetic invitation.
And that's a perfect way to put it, actually.
Yeah. So when you go and do that, I'm like, what is happening with all the? Because I get the hands, but what's happening with the breaths?
So the sound is like what Heidi was just discussing. Sound healing and sound has been around for a very, very, very long time outside of West End. I don't even know how many years. And so the sound actually wasn't, again, a cerebral thought. It just started happening. Okay, so it's almost like that's the direction, like almost like the GPS for the person, because they can't see me. They can't see where my hands are. There's no way they can see it. They can feel me and sense me, but the sound is just another facilitator that is also energy. So the sound, the music, the touch, the all of those things are just extra facilitators. But for me, when I do the sound, it's to give them almost the directions to where the map is home to themselves. If you have a session without sound, you're almost a little lost. You almost, it's a bit more sporadic. It's not as coherent. And the sound just gives you a little bit more direction, for lack of a better word. Is that how you felt at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just being guided by it, and I entered into the dance of it.
And it's a dance of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also felt like a dance that I didn't choose.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? It's just unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
It's just these steps that are being created as it's going on. So my body moving into this position or this position, I had not that I had no control over it, but there was no cerebral decision to make that choice. It was purely instinctual, and it was like it, as I'm doing sort of just body rolls here. It was like, that's what I need to free. That's what I need. And it was
so your body knows it.
Yeah.
And it's a dance with yourself and the higher consciousness, I believe. So what we're all connected to, whatever that belief system is for you, I believe that it's you and that
well,
whole
that's
concept.
why I brought up the idea of quantum in this. And I sort of feel like if we acknowledge that as a species of beings, that we are an energy manifest in form, that we are energy, like everything is energy. And, many years ago they realized there were atoms within us, and then they realized there were protons and electrons and neutrons, and they've gone further and further and further. Maybe 30 or 40 years ago, they realized that there's a quantum space in which no thing or nothing creates everything that is everything.
Everything and nothing, all simultaneously.
All the time. So from zero, we get 1, 2, everything spawns from the zeroness or from the no thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in these spaces, I'm like, are we entering into something quantum? Is that?
I think that we are. Do I have proof of that? No. Is it anecdotal?
I couldn't give a shit with that. Proof of it or not. Like I don't have proof when I'm meditating and I transcend my thinking mind that I am entering into a space of quantum or the unified field or the no thing. But I know that these feelings of peace or of bliss or of creativity that spawns, which creativity is literally an idea spawns from nothing into something within this meditation. Universal love that spawns, like all these things that are spawning from that space are what scientists have determined exists in the unified field, in the space of quantum, in the no thing. Well, so I'm feeling those things, and I was feeling similar things in the session.
Exactly.
So it's experiential rather than cerebral.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why there is a bit of a debate between the science of this, even though there's a lot of science that we are energetic beings.
Yeah.
But another reason why I think we are working with the quantum, or I believe, rather than even think, is because time and space no longer exists in a session.
Yeah.
So you can no longer tell how long you've been on the table before. You can't think about what you're going to make for dinner. You can't. It's a non-thought provoking process. It's only a feeling process. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one way of knowing that we're accessing quantum. Another thing is, for example, is the person on the table might do a yoga posture that they can't do normally. Just as an example. So through a session, they might get on the table and end up in a wheel posture, just as an example. And then you get them off the table an hour later and you say, do the wheel, and they can't. So
that's epic.
Yeah. So what's actually possible on the table is because of the quantum field, and then they try to do it in this reality, in the 3D, and it's not possible.
Limiting self-beliefs.
Yeah, limiting self-beliefs. Yeah. So I've seen things that aren't possible become possible.
Because
it happens a lot.
In that space, like if we enter into that subconscious space, in dreams, we're doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
We're going flying, we're doing, and if you dream, if you're listening, a lucid dream, which some people have a couple of times in their lifetime, some people can cultivate it and actually do work. You go, you know what? I am going to fly off and I'm not saying that means that you can then just go out and fly in the real world, because we do have a force called gravity that is stronger than your dreaming power.
That's not what we're suggesting.
No, I'm definitely not suggesting that. But what it does mean that dreams are just visions that are had in one realm of consciousness in your sleeping state, and visions that you have in real in this waking consciousness are just dreams that are being had in this consciousness. When we enter into this quantum field, it's like we're living out the dream in this space.
Your state has changed.
Your state has changed.
So in the mantra Om
Yep.
is representing the three states of consciousness, right? The waking state, the dreaming state, and the deep sleep state. Then, so that's the sound of Om, right? But then beyond the Om, there is another state called Turiya, which is the silent space after the Om. Now, Turiya is pure conscious awareness. So I think what happens when you're meditating or when you're in that space where it just is there's nothing else, like if you're like in spinal or, you know, whatever it is that helps you get there, that state is, that pure conscious state does feel like it's quantum. There's just nothing else there. You actually can't put your mind on anything else. It's not even like your mind, not only does it not want to, but it can't.
And when you do try to, you tap out of it and you're back to, you know, the thinking mind. And
world,
and whatever. And then you have to dive back down. Then I'm like, back to the mantra.
Exactly.
You know, so
but that's also beautiful.
But it also is that feeling of timelessness certainly exists in those experiences where I go, I've definitely been meditating for about 3 or 4 minutes and it's 25 minutes later. It's just,
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best feeling?
And then the bloody caveat or the catch-22 is if you try and get there.
Again next time.
Yeah, you never do.
Never. In fact, it takes you back. Like you go back 2 years in time again. You start again from the beginning.
Oh, yes, it's a surrender technique. And all of this is surrender. Hey, Heidi, do you have a favorite mantra?
That's so hard. It's hard because it changes so much. You know, like depending on where I'm at. But like actually if I really think about it and a mantra that always just gets me and it like kind of takes me back home, for want of a better way to describe it, it's Om Namah Shivaya. I love it. Om Namah Shivaya. I surrender to pure consciousness. I love it.
It sounds really good when you say it. It sounds even better when you sing it.
Oh. Okay.
Go Heidi.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you. Oh my God. So beautiful. You've totally changed the whole frequency of the room.
Heidi, why do I have to close my eyes whenever Kirtan's going on? For some
Why do you
reason,
have to?
like there's this need like to want to, normally if you go to a concert, for example, you're watching, you want to watch the person sing. But whenever I'm doing Kirtan with you, even when I sing it, I want to close my eyes.
I think, I mean, not everybody does, but I feel like I do too. And I think it's because it's such an intimate, like personal experience. And it's not about, I mean, look, I love doing Kirtan with lots of people in the room. Like it's so cool when there's heaps of people chanting together because the whole room will vibrate. But even when I do it on my own, it's just when I close my eyes, I get the sense of moving a little more deeply within to my center, you know?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. And then it just gets deeper.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Feel
it's sort of, I might argue that it's also a resistance, but having my waking consciousness or my waking awareness privy to what my eyes open state can see is sort of diminishing my ability to step inwards and to go deeper into it.
Yeah. Like a bit of sensory deprivation so that you can experience the vibration more.
Yeah, but, you know, we're playing in the game of enlightenment. I should be able to untry to do it with my eyes. I'm not there yet. I'm not in this lifetime.
I'm not in this
life. I got a few more lifetimes to go before.
I'd be
many more.
If we thought we were enlightened.
No, definitely not. I mean, we wouldn't be having this kind of. I'm not. I'm so not.
I'm nowhere near it, guys.
No. We've all got a heart story to tell, don't we? The one that lives behind the many masks we wear. On this show, you get to hear those stories from our incredible guests who come on each episode and share theirs. Now it's time I shared mine. Last year was the hardest one I've faced in my life and career. There were 2 vocal surgeries, a high-speed near-death experience, and the ongoing health struggles of my father. It felt like the most appropriate time to put pen to paper. The Behind the Mask book is memoir meets self-development, an opportunity to share the wild, honest, funny, and at times very vulnerable anecdotes of a career in showbiz, intertwined with the lessons, learnings, and wisdoms I've gained along the way. I share my struggles with anxiety, imposter syndrome, health battles, eating disorders, and that feeling of not enoughness. Most importantly, I share how I moved through it. My intention is not only for you to really meet this human being beyond the many iterations of human doing, but to help you navigate your way through life with a deeper sense of self, meaning, and purpose. I truly hope you come along for the ride and grab yourself a copy. The book is available at online stores or in stores, but I recommend purchasing through the great people at Readings. Head to readings.com.au to get your copy. We are playing in the worlds of things that are, for Western society, objectively esoteric. Subjectively, because it's only for some. Have you guys run into like damnation of people like gone, what you're doing is witchcraft, or like,
I mean, you
like,
would have.
I definitely have.
just people like just abuse? Or what sort of stuff have you received? And
I've been told death threats.
Wow.
Yeah. That I'm a charlatan, that I'm taking people's money, I should be ashamed of myself, that I am working with the devil. There's just a lot of misconceptions around the movements and things. A lot of the time, people have only seen that movement in, say, in Western culture, like things like the Exorcist movie. In the East, no one's ever said anything remotely like that, but they've been brought up in a culture where energy is part of who they are, whereas energy is not really necessarily part of our belief systems here in the West. But yeah, definitely a lot of it. But for me, it doesn't really affect me because my understanding and my experience of this work and wanting to get it out there so everyone has felt that, what we were talking about, that experience of self and consciousness far outweighs what maybe some people's limited belief systems are that are true for them. But also my goal isn't to...
Do you really think it's true for them, or do you think it's just a fear-based construct?
Look, I don't know with the depths of it, but everyone's kind of on a different journey in terms of their understanding of this kind of concept. It is still out of the box for a lot of people. Yeah. Lucky we're in an era now where like breath work and meditation and things are a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more westernized so that people there's not as much stigma attached to that. You have more corporations bringing in breath work and things like that, whereas spinal energetics, because there is, I guess, the non-tangibility, there's this kind of it can challenge, I guess, people's limited understanding of what religion is as well. But again, that's not what religion's ever stated. That's what human beings have, I guess, done to religion at times. But put it in a fear box. And that's all it is. And my job's not to convince anyone of this work. I do enjoy working with skeptics at times. Don't get me wrong. But
do you feel like that's playing in your ego game? Or are you?
No, I look at it more as an opening, like in a way, because it's not about me anyway. Yeah. It's about giving them a whole nother world that they never saw before. It's like, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. All of a sudden, you've helped open the door to the
Mr.
wardrobe.
Tumnus.
Yeah.
Tumnus.
And they've just seen something that they've never seen before. It was just a wardrobe before.
Yeah.
And now there's a whole new world inside there of themselves and brings meaning and purpose into their life as well. There's a reason why in the West we're more depressed, we're more anxious. We are, have so much more than previous generations, but
materially.
Materially in the matrix realm of success. But are so far more unhappy, yet places like who practice Buddhism or Hinduism and other Eastern philosophies, they're far happier with far less in terms of those material aspects. But that's because they have a larger connection to what Heidi and I are actually discussing. They have a larger connection to self.
Do you feel like we're in a evolution, an energetic evolution and expansion of, awakening maybe of collective consciousness at the moment? And you do?
Aquarius age.
The age of Aquarius. Yeah, I feel that definitely.
It's like where this ancient wisdom, like you mentioned breath work, I think the ice, the heat, the plant medicine, like all these things are sort of coming more into the mainstream.
I mean, even when meditation started to become kind of popular 10 years ago or whenever it was, and it turned from meditation into mindfulness.
Yeah.
That was like a massive big step, I think. Yeah. And then after that, now breath work. It's like a new and the ice and all of the different things and the heat and everything. I love it. I think whatever gateway gets you in, I love it. Yeah. Take the gateway in.
Me too.
And there's no doubt about it. Eventually, you will get to spinal energetics and Kirtan and, different like ancient methods as well, because there's no like that. They're all there for you, waiting basically for you to come. And it's like people because I'm a yoga teacher as well, and when I teach class, I always chant mantra in every single class, and I can see the people who haven't come before and they don't know what it is. And there's different kind of, I don't know, like I look around and there's some people like giggling in the corner and then some people are like going, oh my God, what's this? This is crazy. And then some people are just straight into it because they're ready. And then that same person who was giggling a year ago comes back now and they're ready. And I'm still here doing exactly the same thing. And it's just like you says, like we're just going to be here doing it. We're waiting and it's not going to change and we're still here and it works. So when you're ready, we're here for you and
to help you awaken to yourself.
Yeah. And but you've got to be the one who does it. Just like Saz was saying before, it's like it's a dance. There's always a play happening between you and I, all of us together, no matter how many people are in the room. Like I've seen Sarah in a room of many people and she's doing spinal on, 4 or more people at once, but they're all having an experience. It looks different for everybody, but everybody at the same time though is having an experience, their experience of what needs to happen for them then. And it will be different tomorrow, like you said, but it'll also be different for me than it will be for you, Josh.
Totally.
And I love that too.
And you feel like, SJ, the reason why this is happening is because regardless of the material world that we're living in and obtaining things from and consuming from, there is like an inherent
loneliness
or unhappiness or not enoughness or whatever. It's like, where do I go to, if it's not coming from the outside world, from the extrinsic, there's got to be something intrinsic.
Yeah. People know that, we live in a culture where we can see a lot of things on social media and all sorts of things like that. But if you got everything you ever truly wanted materialistically, would that actually make you happy? Probably not.
No.
It might even make it highlight the fact of even more unhappiness.
Yeah.
So I think we're in this place in society where I think we're at this perfect precipice for this now. Who am I? Who do I want to be? What is this all about? We're in a curious part of I don't know, generations.
Big existential questions.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Or I wouldn't believe that this modality would have even come to life if people weren't ready for it.
How did it come to life? What is the? It just arrived.
It just arrived over time. Coming from my psych background, from my chiro background, from doing a bunch of other things like traveling overseas, becoming a yoga teacher like Heidi's, meditation teacher, delving into Vipassana. Studying Buddhism specifically, just a whole bunch of different experiences and learnings that I just still felt were segmented and still had dogma attached to it where like this is the only way you can meditate or this is the only way, like we're more right than you. Like even certain, Buddhists believe like the Mahayana is actually the the only real Buddhism and the rest are just branch. You know, there's even that ego within that side.
Yeah, spiritual ego.
Yeah, spiritual ego is even worse than normal ego. Matrix ego.
Cringy, vommy. That makes me vommy in my mouth.
It's not good, trust me.
And if I catch myself in it, I want to like look in the mirror and vomit at the mirror. Go, you make me sick.
Sometimes it's just another thing to attach themselves to.
Yeah.
And it just sounds more. They'll have different language, but they're still being an asshole. You know what I mean? So there's just different. They just say it differently. Like, this is just a boundary. You know, and there are boundaries.
Well, I think when you obsess over method, and there's only one method to arrive at where it is you want to arrive at, I think,
and there's only one way to get there.
That's what I mean.
And that's like no.
I mean, obsess less about the method. We've discussed it before, just now. Like with Spinal Energetics can take you there, and Kirtan can take you there, and meditation can take you there, and breath work, and like they're all
there's many different paths.
Yeah, many different paths. They're all great.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would just do Spinal Energetics. Yeah. But I don't. Yeah. I harass Heidi in her classes every couple of weeks. You know,
love it.
Because I love that feeling. And just like Heidi was saying, there's no similar experience in terms of the tables and what people are having on them. In yoga, for example, everyone might be in a downward-facing dog, but everyone's downward-facing dog looks different. But it doesn't mean their experience is any less.
Yeah.
So these are all just opportunities to return back to self. You can do that through meditation, through breath work, through this. And spinal is another tool set to do that. Would it be necessarily people's first choice in terms of an entry-level start? And this, it can be. But most people do find it a little bit later. But it's not to say that it's only for certain people, like it's not hierarchical.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a sort of nice segue into a question I had thought of prior, which is that as healers, in one way or another, we don't just arrive at the healing without needing our own healing to some degree. I think Carl Jung said only a wounded physician could ever heal effectively.
I do believe that.
Yeah, me too. I think I never trust anyone who's taken me that feels like they've got it all sorted, like they're perfect. And sometimes I feel like, you know, when I love talk therapy, like I love seeing my psych, but sometimes I just like want to know her journey a bit so I can feel like I have a rapport. She's just offering advice, and I know that she's imperfect, but it's sort of from a place of I've got the answers.
Well, you're seen as a patient in that.
Yeah,
in that lens.
I get that that's the construct, and so I just accept the construct. But I do love this idea that I inherently trust a wounded healer more. I know when I work with my coaching clients, very much a part of the conversation and vulnerable in it too.
Yeah.
I want to know what led you here? What was the wound?
Oh God, where do I start, Josh?
You go first.
At
Mine's
the beginning,
just a lot of trauma. So couldn't be a trauma practitioner if I didn't have an extreme amount of trauma. But that's where mine basically came from. But I wonder. I actually don't know where yours came from myself. Heidi.
I know you had some like injuries as a dancer, and
oh yeah, I had lots of dance injuries, but I don't think that's
Did that get you into yoga and?
Yeah, it got me back into yoga after a very long hiatus. I was practicing when I was a teenager, back in the hall down the road, you know.
But was it very asana, very
when I got back
physical?
into it, back in like when I was in my 30s, yes, super all about asana.
All about the physical practice.
All about the physical. I actually got an ankle injury from dance, and I couldn't jump, so I thought I still wanted to move. But I needed something that wasn't cardio. So I thought, I'll just go back to yoga. It's a bit cringe, but I'll do it. But it wasn't cringe at all. It was completely different to what it was back in the day. And it was a completely different energy. But then, so that kind of, the thing with yoga is it always takes you somewhere. Like whether you start with meditating or chanting or whatever your gateway drug through yoga is, it's always going to take you to all the different yogas. Always. There's no way out, right? Unless you just stop soon. But I didn't stop. I just kept going and going and going and going and going. And yeah, I think, you know, before I was practicing regularly again, it had been years since I'd even cried. Like I'd suppressed all my feelings to just basically get shit done.
What were you suppressing?
Suppressing the emotions of I don't know, I guess an upbringing and a life where I thought that there were so many expectations placed on what I thought I needed to do to make other people happy. So I just kept doing stuff and just getting shit done and like doing things like getting married, buying an apartment, doing all the things and ticking every single box and hurrying up and quick get it done because otherwise I'm not good enough. And then I realized that I didn't need to do that at all.
At what point did you realize that you're in the white picket fence game? And what do you think, what words or moments do you think led you to go, that's the game I have to play in?
It was when I did my first 200-hour yoga teacher training, and I was in a teacher training. And in this moment, so I'm going to take you back a little bit because I think I'm going to go back, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of my story starts actually from when I was a kid because I was dancing when I was a kid, and my mum accidentally took me to this dancing school that was a top dance school, and it was a comp school and like very ultra competitive dancing. And also because we were dancing, we had to sing and we did all of the things. Like we were all like dancing, singing.
Like Royal South Street in Ballarat.
Yeah, we did all of that. Yeah. So then when I was so, it sounds ridiculous, but I was burnt out from dancing young, like when I was in 14 or something. I was completely burnt out. And so I quit, but I still loved singing. So I kept singing and I had a band in high school singing. I was, singing in the band, and we had gigs at like the festivals in town and things, and it was
covers
fun.
And stuff.
Cover band. It was called Sunken Caravan, and it was 60s covers, and it was, great.
I love that.
And
she
then,
was still a hippie.
Oh yeah. Always.
Sunken Caravan.
And then I left school and was in a band, and this particular band had already had gigs, and I think they had a CD and stuff like that, and they invited me in as their singer. So I got into this band, and I was significantly younger. They were like 10 years older than me or more. And I've been in the band for ages, and we had gigs and wrote songs and stuff like that. And I get a phone call this day, and I'm 18. I get a phone call from the guy who ran the band, and I just thought it was a regular call saying, come over and we'll have a rehearsal. And all he said was, Heidi, hi, it's Peter. I'm ringing to tell you that we've decided to sack you from the band because we've found someone who can actually sing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just immediately went into a little bit of shock. And then I started, tears started coming down because poor little 18-year-old me, I thought because I loved it, and I thought I wasn't bad at it, I was a fine singer. But I immediately just went to myself, don't sing again. You're bad at it. Don't do it. So I didn't. So this is all throat chakra stuff. This is really suppressing. And I think that's actually where it started, because I started suppressing basically who I was from that moment. And then next minute I married a musician, never told him I sung, never told him about any of that, just kept suppressing it. He used to say oh, you've got such a beautiful voice. Why don't you sing? I'm like, no. And then I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training. And in the teacher training, we were going through the chakras, and the guy who taught the training pointed to me the first time ever. He just said, Heidi, read this quote. And it was something I can't remember, but it was from Caroline Meese's book, Anatomy of the Spirit. And it was the throat chakra section. It was what has been a time when someone said something that changed the trajectory of your life or something like that? And I'd forgotten. I was in my 30s now. I'd completely forgotten. And then it all just came up, and I told everybody, and I was bawling my eyes out and crying. And then it was actually, though, from that moment, because I hadn't really cried. I'd just not cried. From that moment, everything just started to come up to the surface. And then I started chanting, singing, Om Namah Shivaya, and then connecting more deeply to who I am, not only as my voice, but who really am I beyond what I say or do? But how does it feel inside? Which has been a really tricky one behind the mask, because it's been a tricky one, and it's actually really hard, I think, in the Western world to know yourself really fully, because everything really is about what things look like on the outside, What's your haircut? What are you wearing? Have you got nail polish on? Like,
Yeah, it's like what you look like and what are you doing?
What do you do and what have you got?
And what have you got?
What's your car? What's your house? What do you look like and what do you do for work? They're the questions.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Heidi. What do you do? Like, so beyond all of that stuff, and it's like, when I tell people that I teach yoga, because that's what my full-time job is as a yoga teacher, I don't think people really know what that means, because when I look down the list of, we've just adopted my 16-year-old nephew and he's moved in with us, and for his new school, we had to write what we do for a living, and we're looking down and there's nothing. And I'm like, what do we write? I don't know what to say. Right. So do you know what we had to write? Fitness instructor. Because there was no other. It was like fitness. And it's like, I'm not that. But that's what I had to write. And that's not what I do.
I love how it was on the computer and you had to click down.
Yeah.
The click down where we have 20 boxes in which all people must be defined.
That's
by,
right.
I don't think Spinal Energetics is in there.
No, I don't either. What would you be? What would your one be?
Well, chiropractor is even a bit odd. So I don't think I'd even be in that. But sometimes it's like health professional.
Oh, yeah.
Like allied health or something.
That is such a powerful story. And I think a lot of people will resonate with that story because there's so many people, I know them who said, oh, yeah, my parents said, shut up when I was singing or, all that.
So many people.
Yeah. And the throat chakra just gets blocked from such a young age. And it's like from a myth perspective, there's so many myths out there where, Cinderella, Snow White, but like a pin or something goes in the throat and it disconnects the throat from the rest of the body. Like, and so this is something that's talked about so much because it's so human. It's such a human experience to be cut off at the throat, that our voice isn't worth being heard. And then it's like, I'm not worthy of speaking. And then I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And this is a really common thing. And I think the power of what you do with Kirtan is actually opening people up to their own self through the vibration and the frequency of the voice and actually opening that space up. And I actually think, I have a feeling, I said it to someone last week, I have a feeling the next modality that is going to be the one that surfaces as the hip modality post mindfulness and breath work and the ice is chanting, humming, anything that evokes vagus nerve big time, but it evokes authentically speaking the truth or like not being limited by your throat chakra.
Can I share with you one of my favorite quotes?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Rumi.
Yeah.
And he says...
I don't even know who that is. I never use Rumi quotes on here.
Rumi?
Yeah, what?
And he says, before you speak, allow your words to pass through 3 gates. At the first gate, ask, is it true? At the second, is it kind? And at the third gate, ask, is it necessary? And it's like, if we can live in that, and because that's yoga, ultimately, that is what yoga is. It's like satya, be in your truth. And no more, no less. So don't exaggerate your truth. Don't play it down. Don't step outside of it to please someone else. Just be in your truth purely, always. And do I do that always? No, I do not.
But
I
the
fail
awareness
often.
of it.
Yeah, it's just coming back over and over again.
But I think we've got a lot of people waiting at the gates, not prepared to actually walk into any of them or see them, and are so frightened that they turn away.
I know. I see it a lot. I really do. And I've been there. I know that feeling. I actually know how that feels. It's like, because I would see it. I'd be on the outside looking in or the other way around going, oh, there's no way I could ever do that. And I was so uncomfortable around it because it's so alien until you just take that tiny little step in. But you got to take the step in. And then once you're in there, it's like home. And there's a community inside that is just, no matter whether they're a breathwork community or a spinal community or a meditation community, they're like the most loving people you could ever imagine to meet.
I'm so glad you kept singing, Heidi.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Oh.
SJ, how did you arrive here? And thank you for the quote as well.
It was interesting that your quotes all relate to home. because my quote was, it's not even really a quote, it's more of a saying, but homesick of a place that you've never been to, like homesick for a place you've never been to. And that's where I find a lot of people are coming from when they come and do a spinal energetic session. They're homesick for themselves.
Yeah, they're meeting the stranger inside themselves for the first time.
And just like Heidi said, you know, when she was asked that question, yoga is what connected her to that. And that's what we hope to do with spinal as well. So again, spinal is not the only way, it is our way. But how did it come about? I think
what's the wound in which this light has entered?
Wounds.
Rumi.
Wounds. I think for me, the best, you know, especially people, the best people who, how do I explain it? Kind of like what you were touching on before with your psychologist. I think when you look someone in the eye who's holding that space for you and you know that they recognize the pain that you're talking about, that is more healing than anything you can read in a textbook. So for me...
I just let that land for a second.
Yeah.
Being truly heard, not just listened to.
Yeah. And you can see in someone's eyes if they've been to hell and back, you know. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the same hell, but they have to have touched it and come back and rebuilt themselves from nothing into something again. And you can recognize that and you can feel it in energy as well. You can just feel it. And that is far more healing than saying the right thing or being perfect, especially as a practitioner. So for me, that's what I felt was missing in the space when I was going through a lot of my own trauma. So, you know, long story short, childhood trauma, didn't know my father, really low socioeconomic background, physical abuse in my teens from a partner, sexual assault.
You're just brushing over all of these
there was a lot. So, you know, that's for me, they were the start of my journey. My mum couldn't afford to send me to a psychologist, so I was really lucky. The local council had a youth worker that they matched me with, and she changed my life. So Sue was her name. And I just remember going, if I could save people like Sue, this is my belief system at the time, save me, then, you know, I've done a good job on this planet. So that was one aspect. But then, you know, growing up, and there's more traumas that you face. You know, my ex-husband and I, we couldn't have children. We had 5 miscarriages. So I'm currently the ambassador for Pink Elephants in Australia as a result of that.
What's Pink Elephants?
It's the only miscarriage support we have in Australia. So it's a charity for them, a non-for-profit. So
5 times, SJ.
Yeah, 5 in a row.
How did you handle? How did you cope with that?
Yeah.
Can you have kids?
Yeah, with other people, just not with my ex-husband. So there was a incompatibility with our genetics, and that's unfortunately one of the reasons we're no longer together.
Really?
Well, in the 4th miscarriage as well, my mum was in a coma. So she had a really rare brain disease at 68, happened overnight, called acute demyelination encephalomyelitis, which is basically an instantaneous MS. So I remember my mum being on life support and having my 4th miscarriage at that same moment.
Oh.
And I just remember going like...
Did you just break?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No. Well, I did, but didn't. I don't know how to describe it. It was definitely, I remember the moment because I felt like I did lose my mum, not physically, she's still alive, but extensively brain damaged. But I lost my mum in that moment, and then the idea of ever becoming a mother at that point in time as well. And then I looked after my mum for a while. It was heartbreaking. It still is heartbreaking to this day. Anyone who cares for a parent who's disabled or brain damaged knows what that's like. And it just never ends as well. It's very, very hard. Then I went through a divorce as a result. We were going through surrogacy too. And then our surrogate got diagnosed with an eye tumour the week of our embryo transfer. So there was just constant trauma. Then COVID happened.
This is fairly recent.
Yeah. This was in my 30s. 30s was an interesting time for me.
You're still there, Darth?
Yeah, just. Still there, just. Really interesting. It's been the hardest, decade of my life for sure. I met my dad at 31 as well, so there's been a whole bunch of intricacies around that. But yeah, got divorced as well, and he's a beautiful person, but not being able to have children was something that was challenging for me with him. So I froze all my eggs last year, so I went through 4 IVF cycles to freeze my eggs, and that brought up a lot.
And so much going inside of you hormonally. Like it's so.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of swept over the rug. And I don't know if I ever will have children or not, but I feel comfortable knowing I did everything that I could. But there's just some aspects. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy as a child as well. And then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in my teens after the physical assault as well. So I was really interested in how the body and mind were interrelated. So fibromyalgia is basically a pain disorder that they don't really know why it happens. It's idiopathic. But doctors prescribe antidepressants for it. And it works for, my little quotes, because obviously there is a connection between trauma and the body's response. I also started developing psychogenic seizures. So I was seizuring, but they weren't my epileptic experiences. I have absent seizure epilepsy, which I've grown out of at this point in time, apparently. But those psychogenic seizures were basically, I believe, my body having such a build-up to the physical assault that it was almost doing a shake-it-off response like an animal would have in the wild.
Which happens a lot in spinal energetics.
Which happens a lot in spinal energetics. Yeah. So all of these life experiences, and plus my studies in psychology, Buddhism, clinical science, applied science, and Chinese medicine, which I still haven't managed to finish yet, but we're getting there. And then yoga and meditation, Vipassana specifically, changed my life. There's just been a lot of introspection and also a lot of knowing that if I wanted to live here on this planet, I needed to do something to heal myself, to want to joyfully be here again. And that's how Spinal was born. I birthed something. It just wasn't what I thought it would be.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Both of you guys. And I love that it really speaks to Jung that, behind our wound is the origin of our gift. And you, both of you have just used these traumatic experiences as a place to arrive at loving service, which is just profound and so, so beautiful. Oh, well, thank you for sharing those stories and being so open with them. I'm very touched, very moved by it.
Everyone has one.
Yeah.
Everyone has one. And a part of the journey is opening up to it. I want to ask you, you know what? We had your quote. Was that your quote?
That was my quote.
Okay.
That's what I got today, coming through.
Love.
Okay. Well, I want to share a quote because, I think this is profound. The quote, who I actually don't know who it's by, and I feel terrible about that, but I love the quote. So if someone out there knows who said this, slide into the DMs.
That's one way to get them, Josh.
3 quotes. So to the ego mind, surrender means giving up. To the ego mind, surrender means giving up. To the spiritual mind, surrender means giving in and receiving. How much of what you share, teach, experience, the way you heal, the way you've healed yourself is about offering up a safe space or safe enough space for someone to feel like they can surrender.
Yeah.
Every single piece of it.
It wouldn't be anything without it. Yeah. No,
so let's expand what surrender is and why, people like Michael J. Singer have written books, Surrender Experiment. It feels like it's a word that I hear in certain circles, but it's a word that is totally avoided and in fact sort of resisted in the doing and the getting of Western culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, knowing you need to let go and someone telling you to let something go is very different to embodying letting go.
You can't conceptualize surrender.
No, it doesn't
I mean, you
work.
can.
I
but,
tried. Trust me, I tried. I was like, I'm letting go. No, still feel like shit. So, I needed a practice that actually was almost the path from knowing and the awareness of wanting to let go, knowing that it was necessary, like forgiveness, all sorts of things, accepting unfairness, accepting injustice, life not going the way you think it should go, then having the beauty of hindsight to realize that life always goes the way it's supposed to. But there's hindsight and a journey that's required to get to that point where you have actually let go. And Spinal was almost that bridge in my experience, and that's also why I wanted to give it to others. It's the bridge between knowing you want to let something go and then actually getting to the place where you feel genuinely that you have.
It's a doorway to surrender.
Yeah, it's a doorway to surrender.
Yeah,
and I
the
think
ice was
yoga
that.
is too, and kirtan.
Yoga, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, many different things. The ice has definitely been that
Yeah.
for me.
I hate ice baths.
I know. So it's
Don't
not
I?
it's not your medicine.
Yeah.
It might,
Yeah.
but it also, if you can hate it or you can resist it. And for me, there was a lot of fear in it to start with, but now I definitely come home to myself in that.
You do
in that
really
space.
well. I've watched you. I used to do a lot of them, and so I understand that exact thing that you're talking about, where everything inside you tells you you can't do something, and then not only can you, but then you grow to enjoy it almost.
Yeah, the ice it can be a mantra for me. Like literally the stepping in is is an immediate
Yeah.
transcendence. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the
Timelessness.
sauna. I watch you.
Yeah, you
in my-
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good,
just
good job,
for-
Josh.
While she's in the sauna, she watches me in the ice. Spinal Energetics and creep.
Oh, I guess a little creepy. When I put it that way.
I'll take the creep.
You say watch me half the time.
Watch me.
Watch me. Look what I can do.
I definitely don't say that.
Be
for
creepy,
you,
sorry.
I love your creep.
Yeah. Look,
I think, I mean, the surrender, I think, is the hardest piece because it's trusting in the unknown, isn't it? So you've got to go, I don't know what's going to happen, but I absolutely trust that it will work out. And it always has, and you can say that, and yeah, that's great because it has always, but will it this time? There's this void of who knows. So, and it is hard. I really, really get it. In saying that though, I think the ultimate surrender and the ultimate trust in the unknown is actually where the magic is, when you can just go, I'm just going to take this step and I'm going to do this and I'm going to let that go and this limiting belief and this old story of mine and just trust in whatever's going to happen. It's like
it's letting go of
always
control
works out.
too.
Yeah.
And so much of our fear cycle and our anxiety cycles is about, a future projection or future negative projection of our own experience. And in the suffering of our own mind, the illusion of our own mind, we're having it in that moment.
Yeah.
And that makes us anxious. So what we do is we try and control that future experience,
Yep.
which is the antithesis of surrender. We'll talk a little bit about this in pertaining to yin yoga, because I know yin has become a huge part of your life. And those who don't know yin, I really suggest you look into it as another method.
Yeah.
But yin really helped me to surrender.
Yeah.
Be-
So good.
me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
because it enabled me a softening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
can you
so
speak to that a bit?
So yin yoga is holding shapes, and there's no standing or balancing shapes. It's just sitting and laying down, but you're holding a shape for anywhere between 2.5 minutes. Sometimes in my yin teacher training, you can hold up for 20-something minutes,
Really?
depending on what the shape is. But in a drop-in class, it'd be like 3 to 5, I would suggest.
Oh my God, 20 minutes in a deer pose, I'd need some Kleenex next to me. My
Yeah.
hips.
I love deer.
yeah.
Oh, but my hips are holding everything. And as Shakira said, the hips don't lie.
No,
And
they do
I would
not.
just start crying. I cry in deer and pigeon all the time. So 20 minutes in that.
same.
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard.
I cry after the yin.
Yeah.
So in the actual class
Beautiful
itself,
release.
And
I'm
it's a
good.
surrender.
But
Yeah.
then after, like for a week following, I'm always like,
That's so
"Ooh."
good.
Yeah.
So that's why you only come every couple of weeks then?
Yeah, I'm still
You're
recovering from
crying
the previous
last one. Yeah, okay, cool.
I've really
Noted.
just started falling back into yoga. So I fell out of love with yoga in COVID for some reason. I don't know why. Just I was all about Pilates instead.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
It undulates.
Yeah, it does.
So,
Really
but I feel like yin is a great space
Well,
for surrender.
the beautiful thing about it is that because you're in the shape for so long and like the body keeps the score. So if you are in the hips and the hips don't lie, what's coming up? Like what's the medicine that your body's trying to tell you that you can release here. And it's really sitting with it for a long time, and it can be really, really challenging. But it could also be very, very blissful, depending on what the shape is for you. But there's a time to sit in it and let it release and just surrender to actually the experience your body is having without, I mean, you're supported and, you know, anchored if you need anchoring as well, but it's really
props
beautiful.
and yummy
so
things,
many
blankets
props,
and
things.
it's so
warm
cozy,
room,
yeah.
yummy, track pants and socks.
Yeah, hopefully some like, you know, little tea lights.
He
All right,
likes.
just-
I went in my pajamas the other week.
Yeah,
often done my
pajamas.
PJs,
Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
soft music
Yeah.
or no music.
And it's working with the fascia too.
It's working
Yeah.
with the fascia
And the
and the connective
tendons.
tissues and the tendons. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it you know, it's used a lot, I think, once again for the asana, for the physical practice, for, you know, I got into when I was doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
And,
Perfect.
and I'm like, this is a good balance because it's, you know, stretching me out. But really, like all yoga, it's been about the yoking.
Yeah, that's right.
It's about, because yoga does mean to unite, really, to the union of the physical, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, just everything coming together. And I actually, yin was my doorway into that more than, you know, vinyasa or hatha or yin, because yin was the thing that enabled me to feel into surrender.
I love that.
Yeah. It's been similar for you, because I know that you've really upped the yin game.
I've upped my yin game over the years. I love yin. I really love it. I still really love vinyasa, and I love teaching vinyasa as well. I think the thing with yin is that because there's so much space in there, we can really go there and we can like get somewhere very, very deep in an hour and have an experience that, you know, with vinyasa, because it's more dynamic and it's a yang style practice, it's, I still take you there. I'll take you there still, but it's a completely different pathway to get to the same place, really. But with yin, you'll leave feeling really stretched and soft, and after vinyasa, you'll probably leave feeling energized. So it'll be a different experience.
Nice sleepy before bed.
Yeah, yummy.
Hey, I've got one last question for you guys. A lot of what we've talked about is about enabling people a safe space to enter into their own unfolding of their intuitive self so that they can be a part of healing themselves. For those who've never touched their own intuitive self or feel really removed from it, what would be one parting gift, one little bit of practical advice that you would give someone to start to have a relationship with their own innate wisdom?
For me, it's always been books like what you've just spoken about, like The Untethered Soul, The Seed of the Soul, Power of Now. All these books have really just helped me kind of solidify.
Forget reading.
Yeah, that's what's been for me. And then I'll, you know, dip my toe in like the yoga or the meditation and things like that. But for me, reading's been a big part of my journey. Yeah.
The cave you most fear to enter holds the treasures that you seek, Joseph Campbell says. So it's like what scares you the most is what is going to be the most healing and show you the most gifts in life. So whatever that is, do it.
So profound. So profound. Oh my God, is that profound? Guys, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for that.
Can I redo mine? No, I'm joking. No.
I want to be better.
Being my perfectionist self. What is this?
I can do better.
Joseph Campbell, hero's journey. I can talk about that. No, no.
Thank you for so much vast wisdom and for sharing your own story so powerfully and so beautifully. It's been a wonderful, wonderful episode. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Love you.